Hello, everyone who's here with me today. Hello, friends. My name's Alex Levin, and you're here for our community meditation with Sun and Moon Yoga Studio through YouTube. So today's title, Zooming? Did I put zooming or zoom in, zoom out? Zooming, as I heard on a market report, has now become a household word, even though there are other platforms. The zooming is a verb, but also I think an adjective, something like that. In any case, the way I'm feeling it applying to our practice today is that in meditation, in the step toward meditation, we choose a focus. There's a zooming in to what we're focusing on. And simultaneously, we learn through the next step is to relax and zoom out. And those toggle back and forth, but they also start to happen more and more simultaneously. Maybe some of you are noticing that in your life, these moments. And in fact, often examples are given. There are times when we um, naturally enter the this state of oneness, of integration, which is the third step of those. There's the three last limbs of the eight limbs of yoga, where we focus and then we kind of open out and come to that non-judging, welcoming, infinite space. And then it's nothing we can do to achieve that next limb, but the joy of those two steps lands us with some grace and some luck and some practice to this amazing state of unity. And you might have noticed it just at those moments. They can be very prosaic when you are on a walk and you just are struck by something really joyful, a really joyful puppy, or something beautiful in the buds. This year, I'm really noticing the crocus buds. I don't know why, different than a lot of times I find the flower or we miss that budding phase. This morning, I saw lots of like thin crocus buds. So it can be a time, it can actually be some times of deep suffering when we're often together with someone else in a deep suffering, that the attention that brings, and sometimes the exhaustion of trying so hard can open us, creating that focus, that zoom in step, that zoom out step, and then the sort of letting go and acceptance of it all. In terms of technique, I'm also thinking about an earlier from the very second limb, the trio of the yoga of action, the three steps, which today I'm going to call them a little differently, which is a fun kind of technique. And as we learn something and refine it, to play with the wording, in any case, we pause, the effort of pause. Huge chapter. We can spend our lifetime working on the pause. And in fact, I have a book a friend loaned me. There it is, How to Do Nothing. And it's what we're practicing here to come to sit together, as we'll come to that stillness and silence in just a moment. So the pause, step one, the pause. And we can practice that many times through the day. The more we practice it, the more we will remember to do that in times when sometimes we see ourselves spinning into a pattern that we'd like to change, or just to be fully present. The pause is such an important portal. And then this step of not knowing, not knowing, but coming to know ourselves more fully, to study ourselves. And here I'm going to say it's listening. So we pause and we listen. We give ourselves this attentiveness. And this can be about learning anything, but especially I'm interested in today in what is myself? What is myself? I'm often interested in it, but especially what, and we watch the patterns we get into, we watch our preferences, we watch what else? We watch our moods, we watch how we relate to others, we watch our reactions, we watch how we feel in our body. This is a really, really big part of this, how we feel in our body. And then in this one, different than the what was my earlier trio, we zoom in, zoom out, and then we land ourselves without any effort into that state of unity through those. And in this second trio, pause, we listen. I guess it's also a non doing, it's a letting go. We let go. We surrender, which is not necessarily a resignation, but we let go of that grip of that we are hardly even aware of until we come to practice. We start to be aware of how much we're holding in our body, how much we hold on to the mind states that keep a sense of self that we're accustomed to, keep a sense of um, identity. And this step of letting go or of allowing the letting go, it can be scary. It can be both wonderful sometimes, and I'm sure you've had glimpses in your meditation practice and again in everyday life when we've come to that step of zoom in, zoom out, exhaust, or just ready for just letting go. And sometimes it happens when we're at the beach. Sometimes it happens um, again when we've just exhausted ourselves. And so I'm not sure if there's many teachers say this is not something we can do, but we can make ourselves available for. And yet I do think it's also related to this first step of this one, the effort of coming to a pause. Even the stop sign, sometimes that forward moving need to get there that I find myself go my the way I drive in my electric hybrid or other car, I go slow way down and I don't want to pause because getting the momentum to go again is a little extra. But here, if we can truly, truly open to the pause, we come to that self. We allow ourselves to feel that self that is prior to all of our conditioning. It is the eternal, the non-changing, the boundless, the non-judging self. And so this is part of the listening, the self-study to arrive at finding that self. I think is the biggest gift of the self-study. There are many, many others that we can find, many aspects, and all very important in how we are in the world and how we can better serve and how we can grow and how we can enjoy our lives. But I believe that primary to that is to get a taste and to unfold more and more that sense of who we are before all else. So I may say more about that as I guide you in our 12 minutes of sitting, but I just want to scooch up and see the chat to see if anyone's had a question. So no questions here. And if you do have a question, you can email me at aLex@sunandmoonstudio.com. Same thread as our website name, aLex@sunandmoonstudio.com. Spell out the and. And if you haven't set up your seat already, as I've been talking for about 10 minutes, do so now. The first step is ground. So another trio, a third trio, three trios. We've got ground and sound and breath. So, ground, we start to settle. Let me talk you through it as we start the timer. Okay, so we start off with a bell and a bow. So we begin with some zooming in, and this is just getting our seat just right, that it's a balance between the steadiness and support that's here, available anytime we turn to it. And in particular, now for this 12 minutes of sitting. And one way to zoom in, to tune in, pause and tune into this sense of ground and feeling the support, is to bring our attention very specifically to all the parts of our body touching the floor, the cushion, the chair, the seat. This sense of knowing our support, not only through our mind, but through our senses. So, partly it's the gravitational field that allows this, partly the amazing electricity of our nervous system. And I'm going to go to breath second today. And you can come back to ground and anytime you need, anytime it calls to you, any part of the ground step. These steps can be interchangeably ordered. And so, breath today, I'm especially noting breath down deep in the low belly, just above the pelvic floor. Softening of any restrictions to the breath. Just the natural breath. And we come to this third pointer of sound. This is a code word in my use of it. Just as it is, you may have noticed as you zoom in to the attentiveness to sound, can be a very powerful pull right to the present. Perhaps you'll sometimes hear my dog snoring, as well as the sound of my voice and my swallowing as my earphones pick up details around me. But also, you'll be noticing anything very close to yourself that's a sound or any other message from the senses, from right inside you, from close around, from farther nearby you, but farther. Bringing us to this feel that presence really doesn't have any dimensions. It's just here. Zoom in and zoom out become just zoom. So, anytime that you find yourself struggling in your meditation, you can remember to be kind to yourself, to be forgiving, and you might zoom in to any of these steps to the ground, to the breath, to sound. So that's powerful to zoom into any of that once you notice that you're in a struggle. That's powerful. That's our pause. And then we listen. We zoom in and listen to whatever we chose, the breath, for example. But we do it lightly as if the zooming in is not a struggle in itself. It's just full of ease. That attention of zooming in is weightless, is mobile, is just easy, light. So you can be zooming in onto the feel of this breath, the true bodily sensations, movements, the reality of it, but simultaneously aware and allowing the zoom out, which is just sort of erasing any boundary between the zoom in and the wide open awareness. Just relaxed. Sound. And closing this practice of trios pointing us to our being, bringing palms together at the heart and bowing our head. There's an implication in all of this that we are together, always in relationship, whether parts of ourselves to each other or to human beings or other beings to each other. Thanks for exploring with me, and I hope these little trios can be helpful to you through your week and through your life and in your practice. So zoom in, zoom out, and then see what occurs. Then we had pause, listen, and let go, and ground, sound, and breath. Something about trios, that strong triangular shape, it's helpful. Thank you so much for being here, and Mary Beth and Gail, who are steady attendees. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, a good week, and I will be back here next Sunday, Eastern Time, 10 o'clock Sundays. And we also have 10 o'clock every weekday, Eastern Time, half-hour asana classes. Please join us. Take care.